Hello, my name is Paweł, as I was introduced. I work in Grid Dynamics. I've been working here since March, but I have almost 10 years of experience in several programming languages. Recently, I program in Scala, but still Java is one of the main languages I work in. Today, I wanted to talk about Bean's lifecycle and one issue I faced in my real programming life. Yes, I speak English even though I'm Polish, because I want to leave my comfort zone, and I hope you will understand what I'm saying. Not because you are weak in English, but because of my bad pronunciation. So let's start. Because as it was said, today we have Mikołajki, Day of Santa Claus. So I want to present the topic, the problem, using some simple program about Santa Claus. So as you probably know, children all over the world during December write letters to Santa Claus with some requests about the gifts. There is one day in the year that Santa Claus sits and reads all the letters from children, and he decides whether the child deserves for gift or not. And when Santa Claus decides that child deserves for gift, he sends the message to reindeer that the child deserves for gift, and the reindeer gets the instruction how to produce the gift, and it submits the task to pools of elves. And basically this is the application I want to show you, and this queue between Santa Claus and reindeer is asynchronous queue. In my example, it is pub/sub component of GCP. So this is the workflow I would like to present you. So let's go to the code. The presentation, I believe, will be shared with you, so you will be able to get this code and play with it on your own. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I won't be able to show all examples I prepared, but I hope you will enjoy that after the presentation. So, as I said, I have simple application about Santa Claus. It's created with Spring Boot in version 3, so pretty new. And let me show some part of this, maybe the most important parts of this application. So I believe the most important is configuration class, where I define beans for all the application. So Santa Claus is going to read list of gifts to prepare from some input stream. And for this presentation, I will use just ordinary input stream from file, but it can be replaced by input stream from any other source of data. The elves pool is just executor service. The size of this executor service can be parameterized in application configuration. I decided to put this size equal to 1. And bean of Santa Claus. Santa Claus is just a thread, so I can show you that the working of Santa Claus is very easy. He just reads the input data, reads it line by line, and our Santa Claus is very generous, and he accepts all requests. So in his opinion, every child deserves for a gift. But he pretends he is thinking, so I added this instruction for waiting, for sleeping. And finally, he sends a message to reindeer using this pub sub queue, and eventually when he finishes reading the data, he sends one additional message to the reindeer that work is finished. So this is the thread of Santa Claus. So let's get back to configuration. Here I have also publisher bin. Publisher class is delivered by Google, just like subscriber class. But in case of subscriber, we need to provide a class responsible for receiving messages, and I created reindeer class. Reindeer, again, just sleeping, and he is pretending that he is looking for instruction. But eventually, after this waiting, he parses message from Santa Claus, and when if it is a gift, it submits the task for elves. When the work is done, so it just prints the message that work is done, but later I will put here some additional instruction. So this is reindeer class, and maybe the most important bin in my project is Santa Claus workshop. And it is full of errors for now, but I believe we will manage to fix all of those issues. So let's take a look at this workshop class. Here there are only two methods. One is prepare to work, and later is clean after work. And as you can see, those fields in that class are bins, so they are injected in configuration. And as you can see, there is I am cleaning those bins up in this class, which is not correct approach. Why? I think many Java developers, including me, thinks that Spring Boot is all about creating application, creating context of application. So this dependency injection thing, the scope of the bins and things like that, we are used to think about creating an application, but as we usually forget that Spring also destroys bins, and we usually don't think about that because we create applications which supposed to run forever. So we create Spring Boot service, and we hope it will work until it crashes. But usually we don't. If it crashes, we usually don't care what happens. But sometimes the moment of closing, destroying context is very important. And one of this example is test. So let me show the simple test of application. This test, in fact, doesn't check anything, but it has workshop class, workshop instance, and it just prepare it to work and clean after work. And what happens? There are several things that can go wrong, and unfortunately they happens or doesn't or don't happen. But what is very important and what made me think about destroying the application? Look at this warning message here. Warning message says that custom destroy method shut down on bin with name request gifts for good children publisher, true and exception. And this is only warning, so as we real programmers don't care about warnings, right? So we usually don't care, but it made me read. It made me think. So this is one example. This message appears every time I run this program. But one more thing I wanted to show you. Here is I use pub sub emulator in my local machine, and as you can see, when I run this test, the exception in this pub sub emulator was thrown. So this is not issue of emulator, this is an issue of my application. So let's restart this emulator and let's run this test one more time. Maybe, oh, no, very good. I was lucky. Real exception was thrown during this application run, and as you can see, this my reindeer class couldn't process the message from Santa Claus. Because of that, this my service executor, my pool of elves, threw an exception, reject execution exception. Why? Because of that, I call shutdown method on executor service object. And as you probably know, it means that this executor service is going to be shut down gracefully. It means it waits until handled tasks are finished, and in that time, executor service won't accept any new tasks. And this is this case. The service executor was shut down, but the application is still ongoing. So this is another issue that happened in my application. So as you can see, as you probably suspect, my application contains many errors. But before I fix them, let me make some short, I hope short, digression about bin lifecycle. So I have prepared some many commits, as you can see, but don't worry, I won't show all of them, but let me show at least part of them. So I prepared separate package for digression, and it contains several classes. One of them is dictionary, and this is very simple class which provides functionality of translating words from one language to another. The other class is label maker, which uses this dictionary object to create a label. So label maker creates labels, and those labels contains the name of the object, name of the toy, and also color of this label. So maybe it's not very creative, but it's related to Santa Claus somehow. Okay, so those are simple classes, and for those classes I prepared also configuration class. And this configuration class is quite simple. It contains definition of two bins. The only thing I added here, this is conditional on property. It means I don't want to this configuration interacts with this configuration used for Santa Claus workshop. So that's why I use this additional property. So I create Polish dictionary, and I create red Polish label maker. And I also have test for those classes. It's again very simple. It has label maker object injected by Spring, and the test only prints a message. So this test only prints label information created by label maker. And so I can run it, but I'm afraid nothing interesting happens right now. But just let me run it. As you can see, label is created. So this is very, very nice. Okay, so let me show you some useful feature of Spring. Look at my dictionary class. I made it auto-closable. So we are used to that thought that when the class is auto-closable, the close method is executed automatically. It happens in try with resources block, and it also happens in Spring Boot. So as you can see, I added close method, which actually doesn't close anything, but it only print a log message. But if I run it, we can see that this close method was executed. Okay, very, very nice feature. Spring can figure it out. So let's check something more. Let me edit this dictionary class. So I just removed this implementation of auto-closable interface, but I left this close method inside. And what happens? I rerun the test, and as you can see, the dictionary is closed again. So Spring can handle close method even if the class is not auto-closable. But this is not all. I can rename this method to shut down, and it appears that this method will be also executed while closing the Spring context. As you can see, the closing the dictionary is still here in logs. So maybe Spring is very intelligent, very smart. So let's rename this method one more time. So as you can see, I changed the name of this method to cleanup, and I rerun the test one more time. And the method cleanup isn't executed. Why? So this is a very interesting thing. Maybe you are aware of that. I wasn't, and I was very surprised when I find it out. But look at the definition of bin annotation. So I can click, and there bin annotation has several properties, and one of them is destroy method. Destroy method has some default value. Maybe it's not important for us now, but this is very interesting part of documentation of Spring, that Spring can detect methods named close and shut down as methods to execute while destroying the object. So using this destroy method, I can make this cleanup method as my new destroy method. And if I run the test right now, when I provided this additional property for bin annotation, this cleanup method will be executed one more time. Maybe the Spring is very smart, and it will recognize when I add init method to dictionary class. So I added init method, but apparently it doesn't work. So because maybe you noticed when I scroll this class, this bin annotation definition, but bin annotation has also one additional parameter, which is called init method. So I can provide init method, and this init method will be called after object creation, after setting the properties of the bin, but before the bin will be used. So as you can see, there is preparing dictionary to work. So maybe I will manage to show you one more feature of Spring. So okay, so not okay. Look at my configuration. I added init and cleanup method also to label maker bin. And what happens? So both in case methods of label maker and dictionary are executed, but they are executed in very specific order. So for first is dictionary is prepared to work, and after dictionary is prepared to work, label maker is preparing to work. So this is why this happens in that order. It because label maker depends on dictionary, and it's quite obvious for us, right? Because to create a label maker bin, we need to create the dictionary bin first. But so this is very obvious for us. But again, this dependence between bins is also visible during destroying the bins. So first, I need destroy label maker to be able to destroy dictionary bin. So this happens. This always happens. So let's imagine that I added one additional bin to my configuration. I added glue bin. This bin doesn't do anything special, but I can add to dictionary bin annotation depends on, and it means what it means. It adds some artificial dependency between bins. So as we can see here, where is it? First, I need to prepare glue to work, to be able to prepare dictionary to work, to be able to prepare label maker to work. And the destruction of object is performed in reverse order. So this is the most important things I wanted to show regarding bins life cycle. So let me back to our initial problem. So we can first thing we can fix is that, as I said, our executor service, so our elf spool, is shut down in incorrect way. So we need to somehow change. We need to change this executor service. So my proposition, my suggestion is to create some adapter to executor service. I created it in very standard way. I create a class which implements auto-closable and executor service. So every method from executor service interface is just call the method at adaptee object, and very special close method is to shut down executor service and wait until all tasks are terminated. So this close the executor service, our elf spool, in very nice way, but it doesn't solve our problems. We need to do something more. So I am running out of time, but let me show you something. I added additional message to reindeer class. So reindeer object prints the message that message from Santa Claus was received. So let me run the test now. The test, of course, this test of workshop. So look at that. In my input file, there is definition of 20 gifts. And as you probably can imagine, not all gifts are done, but definition of all gifts are received from Santa Claus by reindeer. So it means that subscriber object is destroyed too soon. What can we do about that? So we can add something. We can add artificial dependency on the subscriber object to make it depends on publisher object. And this is one thing we can do. And except that, I added very similar feature to publisher class. So let me show the configuration class. So here I added this to publisher bin, I added a dependency on subscriber. It means that subscriber will be destroyed after publisher is destroyed. And I added a wrapper to publisher class. It's not made by inheritance but by composition. And I added this close method which also shuts down the publisher and waits until all messages sent by publisher will be processed. But again, it doesn't solve all problems, because again we need to destroy subscriber in a very similar way. In that way, it waits until all messages will be processed. So but this change is a little bit more trickier, because we need to wait until reindeer receives the last message from Santa Claus saying that, okay, all gifts are read by me, so you can finish delegating work to elves. So in reindeer, I introduced to reindeer class the change I said about in the beginning of my presentation. So in reindeer class, I added this calling the method work done on objects of type subscriber. So subscriber, and we can check that. We have method work done which changes the state, the value of is work done flag, but it's quite tricky because I use synchronized block, and I conducted a lot of technical interviews recently, and the people I interviewed kept saying that they don't use concurrent code. Yes, they program in Spring Boot, but they don't use concurrent coding in their career. It isn't true, of course, because as you probably know, Spring is concurrent framework. So I need to use the synchronize method to make this changing of the state is work done safe. This is one reason. And the other reason is that I want to wait on monitor until the state will be changed. So this is very standard approach in concurrent programming. So I wait until this method notify all is executed, and after that I and after that I call stop async, which is very similar to shutdown method, and I wait until all messages are processed. So this is this approach I can show you, and before I show you, I will restart this emulator. When I rerun the test, I can see that all gifts are created by elves, and moreover, no exception appears in logs of emulator, and of course no exception is thrown in my application, in my test. So as you can see, Spring, of course, is a great tool to create objects, to create bins, to inject dependencies, but it is also responsible for destroying objects. And I believe we very often forget about that, at least me. So maybe if you don't, you are lucky ones. So good for you. And this is, in fact, everything I wanted to share with you. Of course, in my presentation there is also some links to resources worth reading, in my opinion. And I believe this is high time for Q&A session.
Tam będzie. Dziękujemy ślicznie.